What is going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosen here, your internal strength coach, here to show you how to overcome your greatest challenges so you can shine your brightest light. It is Wednesday, November 7th, 2018, and the message that I prepped for you guys today is about protecting your frequency. And maybe even more so than protecting your frequency, it's actually raising your frequency so that you don't even have to really protect yourself in the first place. So what do I mean by this? So we're getting bombarded with a lot of things that are not good for us physically. I was having a conversation with a lady yesterday, and we were talking about not only the effect that things like fluorescent lighting has on human behavior. Like if you notice when you go into a department store or really any type of store, but especially like department stores, it's super bright in there. Like you like walk in and you're just like, wow. The thing is that they actually do that on purpose. They install that type of lighting on purpose because they know that it actually messes with our brains, and it actually puts us in this position where we're actually more prone to buying their products because we're just not kind of necessarily in control of all of our senses and emotions at that point. Another one is 5G, LTE speeds. I mean, that is being widely documented right now that it is like terrible, like just downright terrible for our health. You know, we have electromagnetic current in our bodies, and that electromagnetic current that occurs through 5G is not only unnatural, but it does not combine well with our frequency, with our electromagnetic field. So you know, food is another one. You know, I've talked about food frequency, raising your frequency so that any impurities that are in your food, whether it's impurities from you choosing to eat something that's not a high frequency food, or even just the fact that unfortunately our soil is pretty depleted now, and so a lot of the things that we're eating aren't necessarily like the healthiest that they could have been, had we taken care of the earth a little bit better up to this point. So what can you do though? What can you do to raise your frequency is really what we're here to talk about. So your frequency comes from the mental, emotional body. And what I mean by that is that, we talked about, you hear about people talking about, oh, their mood changed, they shifted. That's a change in frequency. And all it is that when the person decides to start viewing things through a different lens, seeing life through a different lens, and that lens that they're seeing things through, that change that they decided to make, came from the mental choice that they made to do that. They decided that they were going to look at things differently by creating a different reality with their thoughts. That they do have the choice to create negative thoughts for themselves that leads to a negative belief structure, or they can create positive thoughts that lead to a positive structure. So, keeping, and then the emotions, of course, come from, what was the thought, that came before the feeling. So, the emotions are what, really are going to dictate your frequency, but you can start at the very top of the funnel with your thoughts, with your mental state. So, doing, obviously, staying positive, staying in a positive mood, working with affirmations. I think the most important first step is just becoming aware that how much this matters, how much your mental state matters for your frequency, and aware that your thoughts matter. And, learning to be at peace with the things that not only that you cannot control, but that you cannot change in the moment, because that's what really fucks us up. It's like someone will sit here and say, well, you're telling me to be in a positive state, you're telling me to be happy and joyful, but how can I do that? I don't feel like I have enough money, my body's in pain, I don't sleep well, all these things. The thing is that you need to learn to be not only at peace with that, because the struggle of struggling with that is only going to drive you further into the ground. You're not going to solve those issues by, worrying about them. Okay. So how do you solve them? It is going in and it is doing the shadow work. Okay. It is going in and getting in touch with your subconscious. But in the meantime, in the moment, before you're able to do that, whether you're just not there yet, you don't feel like you have the tools yet, or maybe you're just in a position even just during your day where you just cannot take the time out to work with the subconscious, to work on the shadow work, that you have to find some peace in the moment. You have to find some peace in the chaos, and that peace is knowing that you're never going to be, like, we're not perfect, like, we're never going to be perfect, we're never going to have everything figured out, and that you just have to find peace in knowing that these things are there and being okay with that, being patient with yourself, being compassionate with yourself. And then also you could even take it a step further and even realize that those things that are your blocks, they're not, it's not poison, it's not punitive, they're actually treasures. I had that come up after a breathwork session yesterday, where I had some stuff come up, realizing that there was actually another relationship subconsciously that has affected me to this point that I wasn't even paying attention to. And at first I was like, oh man, great. Now this is just more stuff I got to work through, more shadow work. But because I was in such a great, state after the breath work, I actually shifted immediately to, oh no, what awesome treasures, that I have, to learn more about myself. And I know it's tough to look at it that way, but by looking at it that way, I think that you're able to, again, it's a conscious choice, where you're able to choose how you want to view things, to take it back to that. How do you want to view, your blocks? You can view it as a good or a bad thing, choosing to view it actually as a good thing, and realizing that those were put there for you, and not, as a punitive thing for you to learn, for you to grow, and then hopefully eventually use it to inspire others because you work through that. So, if you're not there yet, if you're still working, through the mental emotional stuff, a couple of quick, like, little tricks that you can do too. I've noticed that, as someone who themselves is still, working on, staying in a high vibe state consistently, I feel a lot better when I leave my phone in a different room when I don't need it. And unfortunately, I need my phone for a lot of things, including this video. But by leaving my phone in a different room, I don't think at first I thought maybe it was just the attachment of, like, always feeling connected. But I think there's something to be said about, the 5G connection to the phone too, and being away from that frequency, instead of like carrying it around with me all the time, whether I'm, out and about or in the house or wherever I'm at. Another thing, in terms of, lighting, I mean, as best as you can, try to avoid the fluorescent lighting, especially in your home or your workplace. I know the workplace is, like, really difficult. I mean, I'm the crazy fuck that when I had a fluorescent light above my desk at an old job, I unscrewed that motherfucker and just, like, had, like, an incandescent lamp next to my desk. And there's some other things you can do too, especially, if you're someone that feels like you're sensitive to light. I highly recommend looking up Irlen lenses. It's IRLEN. Basically, they're not prescription, but they're actually lens filters that you put in glasses or contacts that kind of offset whatever the processing issues, the visual processing of the eyes to the brain, to offset that. So that's something you could look into. Um, yeah, I mean, again, like I've talked about the whole, you know, connecting with your food. Well, I don't think I've talked about that in depth yet. You can connect with your food and actually set that intention. When you're about to sit down and eat, be grateful for your food, and actually even set the intention to, harmonize your frequency with your food. So that's another thing you can do. But really, if you're going to spend any concentrated effort, I'd say, for the many, 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 many fucking reasons to work on your mental, emotional state, this is just another one. It's like, if you want to really take control of your health, instead of, like I see these people that like walk around like in like a plastic bubble mentality. That's almost worse than just like being someone that doesn't give a fuck, what they're exposed to, because now you're like staying in this mental state of like the world is, a fucking, bear trap of vampire or something, like out to suck your blood. And that's the reality that you walk around with. So, and I got like that for a little bit, and I can tell you, like, it did not help matters. Like, the whole trying to eliminate things, like, I feel like it actually even compounded an issue that started out of like not staying in a high vibe, high mentally positive state in the first place. So really, 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 please, like, take this into consideration, because I think it's something that'll really help you guys out. So that is what I got for you guys today. Yeah, personal coaching, personal training, that's available. Eric Rosen Coaches, social media, Facebook, YouTube. You can send me an email. The website is up. Still, going to be added some things there, but it is live, so you guys can go check it out. I'll probably make a formal announcement here shortly on it. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and you have an awesome day.